See, the service they provide here at 455 South Boston, of course. There's 422. But you see, 42. Number 42 means George Washington House. George Washington has a trail from all the way from Spokane, Washington, that goes into Gonzaga University in a walkway trail. They call it Lewis and Clark High School. Right there's Deaconess. Right there's Sacred Heart. There's a Deaconess, Sacred Heart Church. And number 42 is George Washington House. Now, number 42 is George Washington House, applying the activity services of the walkway entrance. See, the church is not going to say this is a historic site where George Washington one time walked through Ephrata, where they had wagon wheels and Indian reservations like Simon's Mall in Kennewick, Washington, and Columbia Park. There's reservations and Indian land throughout. They're not going to tell you all that information. They're going to build a school there. They're going to level everything out and make it to a look-your dump site. It turned out to become a look-your dump site, but everything else besides the residents and historic sites, they turned into a parking lot. Long time ago, there used to be weeds everywhere. Before that, now they got garden center. They got a garden facility into the parking lot of City Hall. U.S. Bank has a garden center into the parking lot. And right across the street is Chicago Title. Or Stewart Title. Stewart Title carries out services. And that's Oompa Bank. That's where Felix Barela loaned Ajmer Singh $89,000. And Felix Barela loaned Mr. Ajmer Singh $1 million. So it's $1,089,000. That's $2 million, right? Mr. Obama, $5 million. He owes the United States government $5 million. He owes Felix Barela $5 million. They got the services they got as a Stewart Title. The Texas and Levy's and the highway access has the title. Chicago 323 Chase Bank has the EFT transactions. U.S. Bank has the service transactions in the Vault parking lot. And also the City Hall and staff members has the suit. Has the uniform inside the museum here at 401 South Balsam. And we got footage, we got recorded video and services. And it do not belong to them. UBI number 60217. That's jewelry store, Miller's. Todd Levette, Miller's jewelry store. Now Todd Levette, the jewelry store here in Moses Lake, has all the witness and material and services. All the jury and also George Washington services, George Washington increments for the Constitution, which is Andy Miller, the most powerful man on the planet. He goes to Seattle, Tacoma, Spokane, and also these criminal convict police officers that got detained COVID-19 here in Moses Lake because Felix Barela. It's right across the street, 5th Avenue, 309. That's where it all begun. George Washington House, number 4242, which this is 422. This is George Washington Ordinances, George Washington Bridge in Seattle, Tacoma, Spokane, and also here in Richland, Washington. Andy Miller is the prosecutor of Washington State. He got all the archive. Mr. Obama was put in a facility because he had children, and he had no documents proving his citizenship here in Kennewick. The Kennewick man, they didn't pay me for the Kennewick man. They didn't pay me for the Gonzaga University. And they didn't pay me for the caskets, the urns, the concrete liners, the headstones, the granite stones, the mausoleum, the Forest Lawn, Rest Haven, the statue monuments, the Lowe's, the Home Depot on Division, Lowe's Home Depot in Tapatio, which is there. That's Andy Miller. We have the vehicle parked in Andy Miller's office. They say, who's Andy Miller? He pulls up and they all take off. He's showing up at the administration office and for all my money and my transactions for the services. We got all the evidence in Oompa Bank, Chase Bank 101, Oompa Bank, 323 South Division. And we also have 200 Alder. See, we got Chase Bank 323, we got Stewart Title, and we also got Oompa Bank 101. on Division, and also the street, of course, next to 323 South Division, which is Chase Bank and Stewart Title. U.S. Bank used to be Bank of America. Bank of America now is called the Washington Federal Reserve. Now it's a different bank. Now it's called U.S. Bank, and U.S. Bank is still U.S. Bank in the parking lot here in Moses Lake, Washington. And this is 422, and also this is 321, the City Hall for ordinances for the Civic Center for 421, 401 South Balsam City Hall, and then also the museum services, being members of services increments. You put your military uniform and inside the museum, and you put your military uniform in the museum for about a year, and you let everybody have the archives that serve Mr. Colin Powell and his services. Mr. Donald Rumsfeld from Kansas, Colin Powell from Nebraska, Cozad, Nebraska services. They have Doomsday. Doomsday is a plane that can go through nuclear war ordinances. They have nuclear war ordinances, and the Doomsday plane has a nuclear war ordinances. And the services of the nuclear war compound facility has ordinances. Nuclear war ordinances carry out Mr. Colin Powell. The service, there's a tree that fell over here in the police station. It fell over, and the dog tags are still around my neck. That tree was a historic tree, and it was cut. It was blown down by a natural disaster in Moses Lake. Every electricity got shut down, and also got snowed in. Those three different years it's had bad snowfall and a bad winter storm, blowing all the trees all over. The power lines got knocked down. So that natural disaster carried out a presidential primary election at George Washington House in 42, and this is 422, the church, Nazarene Church, and also 5th Division Balsam. This is, of course, 414. See, on the bench press machine, it's 135, 225, 315, 405, 495, and 5 and 6 and 8. When you get on the squat rack, you got to do repetition, leg extension curls, leg extensions, and you got to be the 50-yard dash, the mile. You got to run it in 4 minutes, 6 minutes. You got to run it between 4 and 6 minutes, 1 mile. If you don't pass that calf-master program on the 50-yard dash, the 1 mile dash, the 100-yard dash, the 50-yard dash, they carry out services. You got guys coming, I walk home, I walk through the yard, so drunk drivers don't run me over. Because you got guys that come from the bars, drinking from the bars because we own so much property. We own thousands upon acres. That's George Washington. So every place we walk, they all want to know your first name. Yeah, so you put that UBI number around your neck. You put the services around your neck, and carry out that statute. Who's Andy Miller? Who's Andy Miller? Oh, the most powerful man in the world. Most powerful man. That document, the U.S. Constitution, is in Andy Miller's office. And he is the prosecutor of Washington State. And he's recognized in Moses Lake because 56 C Street, P.O. Box, Northwest, P.O. Box 876. And this is 4242. This historic site is pretty much a historic site itself. Across the street, you can walk to the Japan facility. It's a nuclear detainment of remains of the nuclear bomb dropped in Hiroshima. The two bombs, the little boy and the big boy, came from Area 51 and also Richland, Washington. The nuclear bomb was built at the hammer mill called Queensgate. Long time ago, John F. Kennedy had the speech in Richland, Washington. At 1313 West Grand Ronde, Mr. John F. Kennedy had houses, establishment houses, and casinos built in Yakima and built here in Richland. And also the George Washington House built in Pasco, George Washington House in Kennewick, and a George Washington House in Ephrata. Those services they don't tolerate alcohol, drugs, and they don't tolerate anybody having a record. And at age 15, you're in the military base, and you're raised on the military base, and you're in the churches, and also the churches and services they provide, and the services they have, they don't tolerate any kind of gang fidelity, tattoos, or administration office on the military. Because at age 15, you're in the military. After that, there's no looking back. And they carry out executive orders of COVID-19 here in Moses Lake because of it. Now, the service that they carry, the COVID-19 policy regulation service, they carry out now they carry a COVID-19 policy regulation service that carries out applying individual COVID-19 policy regulations. You know, you got guys that come up on the sidewalk or come on the walk in the yard, because there's alcoholics and drug addicts and bistros. Bistros are a bunch of drug addicts and alcoholics, police officers, retired police officers, deadbeat police officers, no scumbag cops, they come from a different state and come from Nebraska, Kansas, New York, Louisiana, hillbilly, Florida, a bunch of hillbillies. Administration in the boat race weekend, you got all kinds of sorts in Pasco and Kennewick side. But there's no more boat races, there's no more hydroplanes like Chip here at the Budweiser Company here in Moses Lake at International Airport at Boeing. It's called Larson's Airport. His name's Bill from People Bus. Karen, Justin, Dan, and also administration office. And that was Annalisa. She did a lot of training. And Justin and Dan did a lot of training. And the other Dan. And also Bill. And Bill came into the picture and started reviving the service. We left a message with Bill leaving the PK jacket on the bus. And it has emblems of a flag and also the sun on. And then increments left a message. Bill said he didn't get no messages. So you know how they cower and flinch and then start fights when you walk through the yard because you don't drink and do alcohol. They're just looking for a fight, you know. They go and pull, you know, they pull guns, knives, services. People carry guns at people bus. People have guns, knives. They carry the wallets. And you bring it to Andy Miller's office. Who's Andy Miller? The most powerful man in the world. He's brought your gun into the office, brought your knife into the office, coroner's office. We got so much information on everything. We got, this is the pretty much the download system. We got the 3-piece suit George Washington House for $3 million. Now it's going to be for $5 million just because of the service of the George Washington 3-piece suit. The suit that goes in the museum at 411 South Balsam, that's a suit. It goes in, and it's been there for a year. And it's on the mannequin itself. And we got footage on that. The limousines, the memos, where John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And John F. Kennedy's limousine, the service that he was executed, we got that. The hearse that we drove, Mr. John F. Kennedy, we got that. We got the body, the remains and services, and also the increments of the Kennewick Mound. The Kennewick Mound wasn't paid for. Gonzaga wasn't paid for. The service for the caskets and urn in Pasco, Washington, and Kennewick I wasn't paid for. The sod, the fencing I wasn't paid for. Home Depot I wasn't paid for, and Kennewick and Spokane I wasn't paid for. The Gonzaga University, the sofa, the furniture, and the desktops from City Hall in Othello, and the threats from on YouTube. We got this officer on YouTube and service. We're going to download it and give it to the administration office, Andy Miller at Seal Band live. Camera doesn't lie. What came out of your fucking mouth, you fucking pussy motherfucker? And you got his homeboys walking the streets here in Othello and stationary. The body, the remains, and service. We got that all packaged up here on YouTube and services on your line. The headstones, the urns, the caskets, the headstones, the urns, the caskets, the Yakima Reservation, the Bravo Military Base, the caskets, the urns, the guns, the ammunition, the services, UPI number, Mr. J. Mueller, Mueller's Funeral Home, and Mr. Eric Benson, Eric Benson's Funeral Home, services downloaded. Now it's the GTA, and Mueller's Funeral Home services that are downloaded, administration, granite stones, headstones, and Kennewick Command was not paid for at all. There's also the increments of download George Washington House, the original George Washington House, the artifacts of John F. Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, services. His body was at the Mueller's Funeral Home, and it was removed from the funeral home. Removed the remains because 1313 West Groundy, John F. Kennedy, his administration officer, 13 Kennewick, Washington, John F. Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, at 1313 West Ground Rondy. This is George Washington Historic Parking Lot because the uniform is at the mausoleum for 1 year. See, I got all these scars and bruises from these police officers because they're hospitalized here. They were all hospitalized because they try arresting me and taking me down here in Kennewick, here in Pasco. They like gunning people down in Pasco with the AR-15, M16 in Pasco, Washington, at Alperson parking lot, in Court Street, Mueller's Funeral Home, Greenlee Memorial Mueller's Funeral Home. We got witnesses. We got the suit inside the museum. Trespass services and increments of the services. We're going to get this officer and catch this officer and take him down like Kevin Holt. Kevin Holt from the U.S. Army. He said he's a professional. Mr. and Miss Sackman, and Mr. Tabler Wallace, Mr. Anman, Miss Anman, Miss Sheriff Deputy and Service U.S. Marshal Service of the Kennedy Building. The seals and documents are sealed, and we're going to see how much more footage we can get on these individuals. That we can go to the police station, push 911, and go to the third inn. Go to the third inn called Sunland. Sunland here. They just changed the name. See, the society is crooked in many, many ways in info services. Taxes, services, going to any increments of a representative in Spokane and asking for your money, how you were robbed on Wall Street. Called Chase Bank in downtown Spokane and Davernor Hotel, and called Simon's Mall, which is Kennewick Valley, downtown Spokane. And also of course, the factory outlet stores, tobacco shops and services they have. There's not smoking, they're not drinking, they have so much information. It does not belong to their income society. Now, George Washington has dentures. He only has one tooth remaining in his body, which was taken, which the 20 immediate family members, which are looking at the pure blood of the George Washington immediate family member. See, the pure services they have for blood, COVID-19 policy regulations, shut this whole town down. And this whole town got shut down because I got a UBI number strapped from Mr. Todd Levette, Mueller's Jewelry Store. He lived right across the street, and we moved his office across the street. Patty Murray, Mrs. Cantwell, the senator's office, Annie Miller, the prosecutor of Washington State, and all the judges that lost their increments of the Society of Footage and Download Systems of Information, which is right here. This is number 414. This is the Opa Bank, Chase Bank, Chicago title called Stewart title, and that's Opa Bank. That's $1 million. That's $89,000. That's another $5 million. Mr. President Obama owes me $5 million. He was imprisoned in Benton County, A, B, C, and D, F unit, and that's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, E. Now, that's A, B, C, D, and F courtrooms, Superior District, and that's Mrs. Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney, and that's Liz Cheney. That's the brown Ford vehicle. That's Mr. Bill Gates Foundation services, their increments and download for that first loaning service for his first vehicle, which is a Porsche. He drove that Porsche through the money tree. It's called Carriage Dealership, and his name's Leroy, and that's Ford Company on Columbia Drive, called Kia. So all the increments in society and receipts and 1040s, and there's some paper document. They try to delete all this information, which is inside the vault of U.S. Bank and Chase Bank, and also Richland, Queensgate, and the temple just called Mormon LDS Church. The president and also the found owner of the vice president service and president, the vice president's office, and that services is all downloaded to your creation of services. You want the first and last name, you want the imaging of the officers, we got all that information, so you need that. It's all downloaded on this whole side of the block. Also, the museum's downloaded, and first site, and that suit and service is downloaded for the whole year. Everybody's signing on it, and everybody coming in, paying for the increments of the society. Kennewick, man, I wasn't paid for. Godzega, I wasn't paid for. Home Depot, I wasn't paid for. Lowe's, Carl's Jr., I wasn't paid for. The truck stop, I wasn't paid for. I wasn't paid for anything. So we drove the truck. We drive the truck to Annie Miller, the most powerful man now. Tacoma, Seattle, Spokane, and Kennewick Field Building. Now the Kennewick Field Building to carry out services. Now this is Sackman, Miss Sackman, and Mr. Kenneth Chadwick, 56th Street. This is 414 and 42. This is pretty much the foundation of the historic site. Pretty much. now the services they have in the society for the increments of the direct deposit of $35 million. And I have to go to Bank of America and keep on open accounts, signing things. Open accounts, you know why? Because people are scandalous. Every time you sign for it, every time you show up, mileage calculation, recorded information, and have that military suit dressed up. Mr. Colin Powell, Mr. Don Rumsfeld, Mr. Tommy Franks, Storm and Norman, Desert Storm, Fallujah, James Manis. And James Manis is the General Marine Corps. And also the service they're carrying also the increments of challenges of the March and also November 3rd presidential primary election. Just download the face. Now, the Washington Bar Association, which I played for all the books, law books, you see in Annie Miller's office, Seattle, Tacoma, and also the Kennewick Man, also the Home Depot, Lowe's, Carl's Jr., also in the United States Service Funeral Home in Court Street, which is Mr. Bill Gates driving his Porsche through the Monday cart carriage, and that brown vehicle over in Wyoming, Colorado, Billings, Colorado, Denver, Gillette, Wyoming, Casper, Billings, Montana, Springs, Montana, Walker County, Custer's Last Stand. We all have all the information, and that should be the WSBA. Now the WSBA has oops. Let's refresh this again. Now, the WSBA, we got a live virus that blocks that out. So we got the WSBA, it shows up on this tab. We got all the information. Andy Miller at CO, Benton, Washington, U.S. We got office, www.wsb.org. And we also have the home page. And that homepage increments of that info, you can see at Sunny Farms in Othello and Sunny Farms in Moses Lake. You see that alien-looking artifact on the apples, oranges, the bin. Artifact, the hieroglyphs. Those hieroglyphs on the increments where the Kennewick Man wasn't paid for, they didn't pay me for that. Because I did all of the, I did a lot. And they didn't pay for a dang thing. They just people like taking credit of things and making speeches and services for things they didn't do. You know, Mr. Obama imprisoned in Benton County and asking to be released, and he couldn't be released because he couldn't prove he was a U.S. citizen. But he had the only proof that saved him was a document with his name on it and his first and last name, and everybody saying that was him. And anyways, we got all the information. They tried erasing all the information. We just got her on YouTube. We got the police officer on YouTube, administration on YouTube, state patrols on YouTube, and all the information. You want it? We got it. We got all information downloaded, www.sba.org.